Hello and welcome to the Mix Era Rap Podcast. I'm your host, DJ B Wise. This is a podcast where we talk about hip hop from boom bap to trap. We're a group of hip hop enthusiasts from multiple eras trying to bridge the gap in hip hop. My co-hosts are Kev, and our man DJ Reaper is out this evening, but we got one special guest for you. Our man Malcolm is in the building. All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about, you guys won't believe this. If you haven't heard it, I hope you check it out. If you hadn't seen it, I hope you check it out. And that's XXL's 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs. All right, so we took time over the last few days and checked out what songs were on there and did our due diligence to see. And now we're going to have a discussion about it after we jump into our social media plugs. And you can check us out on Instagram at Mix Era Rap Pod. Again, that's Mix Era Rap POD. You can check us out on Twitter at Mix Era Rap. All right, so we're going to jump straight into this, man. I'm telling you, XXL did their thing here. They put out this list of 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs. So this is going to be a tough one here. We're going to start it off with the question, who on the list is supposed to be there? So we're going to go down the list really quickly and then we'll jump into it. So we got Yeezus by Kanye, got Word Life by OC, Things Fall Apart by The Roots, The War Report by Capone and Noriega, The Realness, Corn Mega, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill, The Low End Theory by Tribe Called Quest, The Lost Tapes, Nas, The Infamous, Mobb Deep by Mobb Deep, The Chronic, Dr. Dre, Take Care, Drake, Supreme Clientele, Ghostface, Run the Jewels 2, Riding Dirty, UGK, Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z, Cuban Links, Raekwon, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye, Milky Way by Boss, Midnight Marauders, A Tribe Called Quest, May the Lord Watch, Little Brother, Mac Bird by Rock Marciano, Life After Death, Biggie Smalls, Thug Motivation 101 by Jeezy, Late Registration, Kanye, King by T.I., It's Dark and Hell is Hot by DMX, Isla, Kevin Gates, Illmatic, Nas, Hell Have No Fury, The Clips, Hardcore, Lil' Kim, Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar, Get Rich or Die Trying, 50 Cent, Food and Liquor, Lupe Fiasco, Fear of the Black Planet, Public Enemy, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, Wu-Tang Clan, Death Certificate, Ice Cube, Disposable Art, Master Ace, DS2, Future, Daytona, Pusha T, Damn, Kendrick Lamar, Boy Meets World, Fashawn, Black Trash, the autobiography of Kurt Jones by Sticky Fingers, Black on Both Sides, Mos Def, Big Fish Theory, Vince Staples, Below the Heavens, Blue in Exile, B, Common, At What Cost, Gold Link, The Prince Among Thieves, Prince Paul, Forest Hill Drive, J. Cole, No 21 and Over, The Alcoholics. And that is your 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs. I'm going to jump into it and just give my 2 cents and say, I think that as far as the question goes, who should be on the list is on the list. I'm going to say that, overall, the Lauryn Hill joint is always questionable because, again, is it really a hip hop album or is it a R&B album? Is it a neo soul album? We don't, to each his own. Beauty is in the beholder. So for this case, definitely Lauryn Hill should be there. The Low End Theory, The Lost Tapes, Nas, Infamous, Mobb Deep, Drake, The Chronic, Take Care, Supreme Clientele, Run the Jewels 2 should be there. Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z should be there. Cuban Link should be there. My Dark Twisted Fantasy should be there. Midnight Marauders. Again, I'm not gonna call the Midnight Marauders. I'm not gonna do that. May the Lord Watch, Little Brother should definitely be there. Life After Death, Biggie should be there. Thug Motivation, I'm leaning that way. I definitely think that it belongs on a list, but I don't know if it's this one. Late Registration, definitely. It's Dark and Hell is Hot by DMX, definitely needs to be on there. Illmatic, Nas, definitely. After we reviewed Hell Hath No Fury, the clips, I'm now leaning that it should be on the list, and I think it's on the lower end of it. Good Kid, Mad City, definitely get rich or die trying. 50 Cent should definitely be on there. Fear of a Black Planet, Public Enemy, definitely. The Woo got to be on there. Ice Cube with Death Certificate, definitely. And another one for me is Damn. I don't know, Damn. To Pimp a Butterfly, I think is better. So I'm gonna lean away from that one. And Most Def, Black on Both Sides, definitely. And B Common, I don't know. I'm leaning away from that. Forest Hill Drive definitely should be on here. So those are the picks for me that should be on here. Let's check in with Malcolm and see what he thinks should be on the top 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs.
In my opinion, the list was on XXL's 50 album list. It wasn't terrible. There were some mentions that I feel like I did not see worthy, but definitely appreciate them putting in J. Cole. I could have did a different album, but Forest Hill Drive is okay. I like how they put Nas on here, and that album's is worthwhile. I would have did Stillmatic, in my opinion. Either one can go. Common's album, Be Common. I think they could have did. I mean, what? How early was Be Common? Was that one of his earlier projects? I'm trying to remember here. If not Be Common, I think Finding Forever
Yeah.
was a album that could have been mentioned on there. But Common's mention was nice. We gotta appreciate Nas and Most Def on here, as well as Kendrick. Kendrick got two. I could have did one Kendrick, and the first album he put out was the worthwhile one instead of Damn. Future mention was not bad at all. I would have did a different Ice Cube album, but I'm happy to see Ice Cube's on there. You know, Public Enemy, always give respect to, the Public Enemy era and that sound for hip hop and, black empowerment. So I appreciate that being on the list. Feel like there should have been more, maybe one more woman woman MC that was on here mentioned, but definitely like Lil Kim's edition as well as Lauryn Hill, regardless to the prerogativeness of her being on there by the album may not being considered a hip hop album to other hip hop heads, but gotta appreciate Lauren's edition. Excuse me. Other than that, I think I'm looking forward to the discussion about who is missing on the list. So all in all, it wasn't too bad of a list, not at all.
All right, that's what's up. Appreciate that, Malcolm. Let's jump in and let Kev answer this one. Kev, your thoughts on who should be on the list that is on the list?
I can agree with 90 to 92% of the list. I think this list is better than that Rolling Stone 200 album list that we've been, kind of dissecting over the past couple of weeks. But I also think people should understand that Double XL is not saying 50 classic albums. They're just saying 50 albums that, that if you listen to, you'll probably listen to front to back. And it may not necessarily be a classic, but it's just still something you can enjoy. And I don't know. It's a classic album and a no weak song album. I don't think people understand the difference between the two. So, just want to put that out there. But, I'm kind of shocked that, my favorite Common album, both of y'all are kind of indifferent on. I think, B is Common's best album. Malcolm's pick of Finding Forever. I mean, from '05 to like '08, I don't think anybody was putting out better music than Common. I mean, he had it was B and then Finding Forever. It was just the storytelling on B to me was just phenomenal. So seeing, B ranked so high, I'ma always stamp that and love the fact that that great album gets some attention. But like I said, overall, about 90 to 92% of the album, I'm okay with. Even some of the stuff that I'm iffy on, and we'll get to that down the line. But I will say this also, that the individuals who put this list together, they're a lot better than the Rolling Stones panel. Number one, number two, you could tell that these are some underground hip hop heads because there are a lot of underground albums that gained a lot of attention that like a lot of mainstream fans wouldn't know about or even understand why they even make this list. So, I get, I don't want to say hip hop heads per se, but I guess I have to say that, just to see a list composed of hip hop heads is great because like I keep saying, the last list we're coming off of is this Rolling Stones list, which obviously didn't have a lot of people who either listen to hip hop or write about it or really, have any real passion or love for it because, you know, this 50 list is way better than that 200 to me.
Yeah, I feel you on that, Kev. I'm with you on that. I got another question just popped in my head. Now that you brought up so many of the underground joints that are on here, let's discuss some of those. One that I was very surprised by, and I've listened to him over the years, and I know he's a quality rapper. But this particular "Word Is Life" by OC, it was very surprising, man. I really enjoyed that joint. It was very enjoyable, as well as for Sean, that joint was really, really nice. And then the biggest one that really shocked me and was the Sticky Fingers joint. I remember seeing this on some of my DJ pools and just was like, yeah, I'm not messing with it like that. I can't.
I mean, but with the OC album, that was a straight East Coast boom bap album. And, if you wasn't ingrained into who OC was, you really didn't listen to it. But the underground, like East Coast hip hop fans love that album. Like, I mean, up until maybe like the early 2000s, on message boards and blog sites, they were still talking about this album. And it had what it came out like 90, I don't want to say 92. Did it?
I'm looking now.
When did it come out? 94. The album came out in 94. So like in the early 2000s, you still had like underground rap fans talking about how great this album was. But I don't know if it's a transitional album. You know what I mean? Like you have some of those older albums that didn't get a big spotlight on, and you could play them now, and people be like, "Oh man, how did I miss that?" Like Master Ace is on here. Master Ace, that's one of those albums that if you missed it and you play it down, you'll be shocked of the fact that you missed it. So like Master Ace is another underground album, another underground artist that gets a lot of love. The Fashawn album, he's big on the West Coast. You know what I mean? Like Fashawn, Dom Kennedy. Oh gosh, it's like I can't think of the other guy's name, but they're big. They're big on the West Coast. These guys they tour together. They do features on each other's album. So I was shocked to see that album though. I was real shocked to see that. But like I said, it just shows that the panel or whoever, put this list together has a great ear because, I would have expected a OC World Life to hit this list or even the Fashawn album to hit this list or even Blue Below the Heavens, which is another underground album that that the underground loves this album. It's okay. I'm not saying it shouldn't be on the list, but that's album got a bunch of love back in the day. I mean, still today gets a lot of love. And it's like, if anytime Blue does a concert, he said he has to play songs from Below the Heavens or the crowd will feel disappointed. So that's just a testament to what he was able to create. And you have to be like, wow, how did this guy who has this following but never went mainstream could create an album that he has to play half the damn album at a concert for the fans to go home happy. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's I mean, it's a big underground list. I mean, like a good number of these artists are like underground artists.
Yeah. So my question to you would be, see, I'm a Master Ace fan, and I just think that sitting on Chrome, I would rather have that one than the Disposable Arts. That sitting on Chrome album. I mean, I remember playing that joint till the wheels fell off. I mean, I popped that tape just over and over and over and over. That whole album was just fire.
Yeah, but I mean, at that time, you're right though. But this disposable joint came out.
2001.
Disposable came out in the early 2000s, which was he had his fans in the 90s that followed him. Plus, he was able to pick up a new fan base. You know what I mean? Like, you know, kids who were, younger fans who were like what, late teens and or even in their early teens. And they had a older somebody in their 20s playing sitting on Chrome or even this. Because I mean I'm like, you know, Master Ace might be like the most underrated, underappreciated rapper ever. Like he's top 5. Like if you want to talk about underrated, underappreciated, you got to put Master Ace in the top 5.
No doubt. I'm with you on that one.
Like I can honestly say I don't think he has a bad album.
No, he has a bad album.
Which one?
The Long Hot Summer was not that good of an album.
Oh no, I got to go back and listen to it. I'm not sure I heard it bad. No, Long Hot Summer wasn't bad.
Yeah, man, it had like 4 or 5 duds on it. He just didn't have the production behind them on it. Not saying his rapping wasn't good, but some of the beats were they were not the best.
Nah, man, that was okay. His last album was good.
You're talking about the Fallen Season?
No, he did the Brooklyn Story.
Okay, I hadn't heard that one yet.
Oh gosh, what's the white boy? Marco Polo. If he didn't produce, he produced, I think, the majority of, if not all, the whole album.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good stuff on here though. It's a lot of good stuff on here. So that's what I'm saying. Like I had to take my mind off this Rolling Stone article because I started comparing the two.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know who made this list. I'm not gonna, what we did the Rolling Stone list. We tore it up, but with this list, I know that I can see the albums, I can see the names, and I know that there are people who we can consider real fans who actually made this list. You know what I mean?
No doubt. So now we're gonna jump into the real question. And the real question is, who shouldn't be on the list? I will let Malcolm start this one off. Malcolm, who shouldn't be on the list?
Where do I begin? I don't know why we have Eminem over any Tupac album. I don't understand that one. Could we get why is Eminem mentioned in Tupac album? Not one album from Tupac is on this list.
Eminem's not on the list.
Eminem is not. I'm rereading something that's that's a XXL does their other sidebar topics.
Yeah, it's a sidebar. It's not on that, but this on this one, he's not on there. I read them off, and Tupac is actually not on here.
Yeah. So my issue is I didn't like how Tupac, none of his albums, especially the earlier ones, weren't mentioned.
Yeah, we're going to get to what's missing, but we'll get to that next. We want to know what shouldn't be on here, looking at the 50.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I misspoke there, but Rock Marciano.
Okay, the Rock Marciano joint.
Little Brother was I never heard of them prior.
You about to start something now, man. You about to start something. He just said Little Brother not supposed to be on here, Kev.
Bass.
Oh, you didn't hear that Bass joint. That Milky Way by Bass, that joint is straight fire. You got to listen to that joint.
And I mean, out of all of these, listening through, this is supposed to be a list for no skips. I would have skipped the entire Kevin Gates album.
Isla, for real? All right.
Yes. Would have skipped the entire Damn. So Kendrick can be on there, but I didn't think that album was worthwhile. Fashawn, Boy Meets World had a few songs, but I just didn't think it needed to be on this list for what the list is for. Same as Vince Staples, same as Blue and Exhale. But other than
Nah,
that, I have no problem.
yeah, you got to go back and listen to the Blue and XL. That joint is fire. For Sean, I'll give you that. I think someone in your age range would think that it's a little too.
And Goldlink shouldn't be on there either.
Which one?
Goldlink.
Cuban Link? Gold
At
Link.
what cost? Goldlink.
Okay, Gold Link. I give you that one. Gold Link probably shouldn't be. He can be on the list, just not this high. Maybe 60, in the 60 range, probably. I could go with that, but definitely
there are other
not.
albums that are no skips that could be replaced for several albums on this list, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, the one I think you didn't mention that I would just ask you about, the Prince Paul joint. It is 24 songs long, and I've never seen anything that's with 24 songs that's not has some skips in it. You feel me?
If they had put any of Gunna's long albums on there, I would replace it with Gunna for Prince Paul, because that's an artist I know of today that puts a lot of songs in his albums. But I also think that even though, Clips is on here for this is Hell Hath No Fury, that didn't have to be on here.
So we just recently
I
reviewed
didn't need
this project, and I was against it for a long time, but I went back and I listened to it with open ears, and I'm gonna say it if it has skips, it may be maybe two.
You could have exchanged both Pusha T albums for LL one album.
Now I will
Like,
give
there's
you
so
that.
many different artists that are considered hip hop artists that have albums that you can play in the car and listen to the entire album that could be added to this list. I feel as though this was catered towards someone who made it, and not enough people did edits or put input on this top 50 album list. But yeah, I've stated a good amount of artists that I feel as though, don't belong. Kevin Gates, what is his name? What is the dude's name?
Kevin Gates, you said. Pusha T, you
Pusha
said.
T, that's what I meant. Pusha T. Didn't really think Lupe needed to be on here. Didn't think Fashawn needed to be on here.
Well, let me ask this. On the Lupe and the Fashawn, not on the list at all, or not this high on the list?
So we're doing people that shouldn't be on the list. That's this segment, correct?
Yes, I mean, but I'm saying, should they be on the list at all, or you can give the caveat they're a little high on the list, just like I said. Who was it? I said somebody. I mentioned it should have been lower.
If this was a top 100 or top 200, then these artists, I would have no problem with their albums being on there. And my background, after listening to them the first time, not being there, I can understand them being on the top 200, top 100, not top 50. Top 50 should be albums that the majority of the masses that are hip hop fans have heard, and that agree that they can play this song, this album throughout, and not have issues or skips. So there, not too many albums. Like, even though Kanye's mentioned, one of it, my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, is a skip album for me.
Ooh.
So why is it on here compared to other albums that could be on here? So it's very hit or miss for me. They have some great picks.
Now I got to throw this one on the table now that you brought Kanye up, because he's on here a lot, and I would tell you, I would keep my Dark Twisted Fantasy to get rid of Jesus. I think that
Jesus and Dark Twisted Fantasy, and put two other ones that can replace it. I remember when Kevin talked about how Common through 05 through 08 was, running things basically, unopposed. But you have to understand, Kanye came out with a big album in 07. That's during Common's tenure, and both are from Chicago. So in the early 2000s, I feel Kanye and Common Kanye didn't hit his peak yet, but Common peaked before I think 2015 before 2010. I don't think he went any higher in his career rap wise, but his albums are needed on this list because he changed, music. Kanye, when we're speaking, that's what I'm speaking about. But I think that some albums could be switched out for that artist Kanye compared to you know
Oh no.
Yeezus, the My Beautiful Dark Fantasy, Twisted Dark Fantasy. So we could go back and forth with this. Not too many albums on here to debate about, but
Oh,
yeah.
I said you hadn't got to me yet because there are plenty of them that I think shouldn't be on here.
Well, that's my thoughts on who shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's what's up. Now on to me, and I would tell you off the breaks, Yeezus should not be on the list. I don't even think in the top 200s. Yeezus is an album for people who are either far left wing liberals or for pseudo Black Panthers. That's what Yeezus is for. Outside of that, it is not. It is an extremely skippable album. There's nothing on there that really just stands out as I'm not going to skip that. There's at least 6 songs that I would skip easily. So that's number one. War Report, Capone and Noriega should be further on the list. I would put them probably in the 70s, but not in the top 50. What else? Mark Berg by Rock Marciano. I like Rock. Rock is a cool dude. I like it. He's a rapper's rapper. The thing about Rock Marciano is that his production and his engineering has always been off, at least on a lot of his projects. And this is one of those that it just is not there. The level of execution on the actual project itself, as far as engineering and production, is not very good, and it makes it a lot of songs skippable for me. That's just me, and so definitely I would not he wouldn't be on the list at all, at least in this project. But there is some Rock Marciano projects that I would say could possibly make a 100 list, and then what's the one I'm missing here that I really want to talk about? Definitely the Prince Paul joint, just because of the length of it, should not be on here. Maybe in the 90s, just because it is it's just too long. It's way too long, too many songs, and that's just problematic for me. And then the Alcoholics, maybe in the 70s, maybe. That was one of their better albums, probably their best album. But again, it's so many other songs that could have been up there ahead of this one. And Gold Link is definitely on the fence. At What Cost was a good album for him, but I don't know. I would say it's got some skippable stuff on there. I'm gonna leave it at that. I could definitely beat up a few more. Like I said, for me, I would, instead of Disposable Arts should definitely be on the top 100. I just think that Riding on Chrome should be in the top 50, not Disposable Arts. And, we can always argue about, his discography, because I definitely think Master Ace is like Kev says, one of the best rappers who doesn't get enough credit. And definitely Daytona should not be in the top 50. It's a short project. So to skip any song out of the 7, that'd be an injustice. That would be me saying I'm hating on him. He definitely could be in the top 60. I put him at 67, 68, but not in the top 50. It's not a throwaway project. Again, it's just that it's not as good as some other things that could have been put on here. I would have put DOC ahead of him. Many other. We're gonna get to who's missing after this. So we're gonna let Kev finish this one off again. And Kev, who shouldn't be on the list of XXL's 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs?
I'm going to agree with Malcolm. This Little Brother album shouldn't have been on the list. You could have picked any other album in their catalog, but not this one. Yeah, this was a bad choice. Yeezus, yeah, like I said earlier, like I said before, Yeezus doesn't feel like it was complete to me. It felt like it was a lot missing, a lot that he wanted to do and didn't do. But like Reaper, explained to us that Yeezus was one of those, Yeezus and Doc Twister Family are these transitional albums that kind of put Kanye on another level, you know. So I could see it making the list, and you know, with that statement he made, you know, I'm kind of on the fence. It's like, okay, if it was impactful, then you know, I'm gonna give it some credit, but you know, it's just not my cup of tea. Yep, I have to go back and listen to Damn, and I know we've been kind of going back and forth on Kendrick Lamar's catalog. So I'm still on the fence with Damn right now, but right now, if I had to say, I would say no. Definitely J. Cole album. You know, that was a snooze. You know, that album put me to sleep when I listened to it. So, you know, I'm not gonna agree with that at all. Ah man, the Jeezy Thug Motivation 101. I'm on it had a couple skips. It had a couple skips. So it was decent, but it had some weak songs. So I don't know. I don't know what they saw in that album. Of course, the Bass, Kevin Gates, and Gold Link and Rock Marciano. That's it for me.
You know what? No one mentioned. I just looked on my list, and I've had a note next to it. I don't know if UGK deserves to be in the top 50.
Oh, come on, man. Don't do that.
I don't. Not this one. Not this album. Maybe top 60, top 70. Not top 50.
Come on, man. Don't do that.
This project again is a good project for them, but I think they, like you just said, on some other artists you was talking about, there's other albums that could have been here instead of this one. That's all I'm saying, is that this particular album is not the one that I have no skips on.
It's like I keep saying, I think this list is a lot of fans who have a big love for the underground. I mean, you know, UGK, this album was a gold album from UGK, and they didn't have no video, no promo, no magazines. They had like no advertisement, no singles on the radio, and this album went gold. So, you know, with no love from the record label, and they still achieved success on this album. But I'm telling you, man, I don't know. Maybe it's because of where I was at this time. This was a front to back, just good album. I mean, it touched on so much stuff. I mean, you know, they used their down south lingo, but at the same time, you still had stuff like you know, like One Day, where it's a song about, you know, losing somebody real close to you. You know what I mean? Like it kind of tugs on your heartstrings a little bit. So yeah, man, this is a good song, man. This is a song that you could put in, you know, you ride in your car and it's gonna play. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Again, for me, I just think that, you know, Underground Kings is really the one for me. That's just my preference, you know. But overall, again, they make good music. God rest the dead and Pimp C, and you know, shout out to to UGK in general. Bun B is the man. He's out there doing his thing in Texas, putting on other young artists. So got to show them some love. I just, again, some of the ones that I was on the fence. And now we're going to, you know what? I want to ask another question on the Kanye one joint. Kanye, again, man, I just don't know. Does he deserve to have this many
Yes.
songs in the top 50?
Yes. What artist with, you know, the access to all the generations he was able to make music and has been able to touch as many fans or the masses the way he has? What artist that's been mentioned on this list has had the same impact, that's still alive and still making music?
Jay-Z.
No,
And he doesn't have nearly as
that's
many
not
on
true.
here.
No, I'm gonna say this right now. The greatest rapper living is Kanye West. The most impactful rapper of all time is Kanye West.
Not bad.
Kanye West created his own genre of music, pretty much. He's one of the best rappers, and he's one of the best rappers of all time. He went to the gospel world, took over the gospel world. Now he got a whole brand new generation of rappers using auto-tune because of him.
No, I'm with you on that. What I'm saying is you're telling me the Black Album shouldn't be on here. You're telling me the Blueprint shouldn't be on here.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Is the Black Album missing? Hell yeah, the Black Album is missing. But does the Black Album have the impact of anything Kanye West puts out? I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about over a certain group of fans. I'm talking about over every hip hop fan, from young to old. There is no one in the history from 76 to present that has been able to impact rap music the way Kanye West has been able to do it over these past 20 years. There is no one who's been able to have this impact the way he has done it. Just like, we a few years back, we had a discussion and the subject of KRS-One came up, and Malcolm had said, KRS-One style was XYZ, and why didn't it transition, past KRS-One? And you said it. You was like, he has a difficult style that is hard to copy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even people, all these, even though a lot of younger guys today were, they say Lil Wayne this and Lil Wayne that. Nobody is rapping like Lil Wayne. Everybody's rapping like Kanye. Everybody. Even Lil Wayne is rapping like Kanye.
No doubt.
So, like, today's pretty much the current state of rap music among male artists. Kanye's fingerprints are all over it.
No, I'm with you on that. All right.
He changed the game, man. It is not. I mean, when Rakim came out, you remember when Rakim came out, it was just, we had party records, you had your street records, you had your semi-conscious records, but it was just like, depending on the beat and depending on the subject matter, you had rappers that would change their flow up a little bit, or they rap faster on certain beats and slow on other beats. But when Rakim came out, he didn't change nothing. It was like same flow, same tone, same sound of his voice, no matter what he was saying. And he had such an impact that everybody else in the game didn't know what to do. And it kind of shook rap up, and they just, okay, this guy's just too great for us to mess with. But Kanye set a standard that, everybody that came after him, even if you don't give him credit, it's Kanye. So like we did the Coast Contra last week, and we said something about one of their soulful records, but Kanye name came up talking about these guys with a soulful song. Why would Kanye's name come up? It's been a whole bunch of guys that use soul samples, but if you say soul sample in today's climate, the first person you probably think of is Kanye West.
Oh, definitely. No doubt. No doubt. Let me throw one more question in there before we get to who's missing. DMX is on here for one song, but DMX's first 4 albums all went platinum. Should he be on here more than he is, as much as Kanye is on here?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that is a good question. DMX had 2 number 1 albums in the same year, which I don't think any other artist in any other genre has been able to do. So that was a feat in itself. But at the same time, DMX was never really considered underground. And like I said, like I keep saying, I think this list was put together by a lot of people who are huge underground rap fans. And you can say what you want about Kanye, but mainstream and underground fans embrace Kanye in the same way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I just think that,
but it's hard. But it's not too many times, and there's not too many artists where you can get mainstream fans and underground fans to actually agree Just like the blue below the heavens. Just like, Malcolm say, I don't know about that. And you say, nah, man, that thing tight. Below the heavens is an underground classic. It's not a mainstream classic. Y'all differ. You know what I mean? But
The list was based off of no skips, right?
yeah.
These artist albums, and these are this is a list of albums that you can play and you don't have to skip it, no matter what type of fan you are or if you're a hip hop fan.
True.
I'm just trying to just trying to make it like understood so we don't judge what they have given us as if they're trying to make the top 50 hip hop album list, of all time 2022.
But I don't think this is, like I said in the beginning, I don't think that this is the top 50, rap albums. I just think this is 50 strong albums, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, again, it's more about for me, it's more about that some of these I just think it's egregious that some artists that I know their albums are non-skips aren't on here. And like I said, I would tell you that, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood is a no skip album. Those albums weren't at number one for no reason. And actually, Flesh of My Flesh and Blood of My Blood was in the number one seat longer than It's Dark and Hell is Hot. It was longer, in that position. So for that not to be on here just seems a little egregious to me. Same thing I would say for The Blueprint over Reasonable Doubt. The Blueprint was at number one for weeks, and it didn't even make the list. So that's all I'm saying is that I think that there is a little bit of a misconnect with the people who did this article. That's all, just on a few things. And now we're going to move on to something that's a little more fun, but a little more controversy about who is missing from the list. And I'm going to start this one off, and I'm going to just say that for me, I just, that Midnight Marauder, don't get me wrong, it's a nice project. And there's definitely always going to be arguments on A Tribe Called Quest discography. The Low End Theory, I think among most people is most people's favorite or the best. But I'm disappointed at how much disrespect People's Instinctive Travels and The Path of Rhyme gets. This album is non-skips. It's no skips in it. You can listen to this album over and over and over and over. They ended well. They started well. They're great songs in the middle. It's a great debut album, and then I know that the Low End Theory is their sophomore album, and it was a better album. They're one of the few groups whose sophomore album is better than their freshman album. But again, for it not to get any love, I just find that just quite interesting. And Ready to Die, for me, I think is my favorite of the two. I think that he got a little commercial, and he had to be a little bit commercial on the on the album that they have on here. Which one is that? That is the Life After Death. Biggie, just to me, got a little bit more commercial as far as hip hop is concerned. Ready to Die is heavy hip hop. And another one I think that they're missing, and this one I think Kev might give me some love on. I think Mad Villainy should be on here. Something by MF Doom should be on there. If it's not Mad Villainy, then maybe Operation Doomsday. I mean, those were great albums. I don't see any skips on those two projects. And another one I think is missing is The Score by the Fugees. That album was definitely not. I didn't see maybe one, and maybe one and a half. There was maybe one song towards the end. The little kind of outro was a little weak, but outside of that, The Score was a solid album. It brought them. It sold almost 10 million copies. It was almost a diamond. It was like, I think it sold like 6 million copies. That should have been on here as far as if you're talking about no weak songs. I already brought up Blueprint, so I'm not going to, weigh y'all down with that one. Graduation should definitely be on the list. I put Graduation over Yeezus any day. by all means necessary by BDP, or My Philosophy by BDP should be on here. You know, those are projects that definitely should be on here. Black Album, I've already brought that one up. One that people don't talk about that should, the DOC's album, No One Can Do It Better. Please, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. This album is one of West Coast's most prolific projects, and it has no skips. You can listen to the entire project with no skips. It's a brilliant project. Sadly, you know, he had a car accident and it was, injured his vocal cords, so he was unable to produce the same level of artistry. But his writing, the DOC's writing, is amazing, and he was able to maintain somewhat of a career writing as a ghostwriter for other people. So give him mad love for that. Why Paid in Full is not on here. Eric B. and Rakim, everybody knows that album is no skips. It is literally the first album of hip hop that there was no skips on. Then I'm gonna move on to, Easy E. Easy Does It. Easy Does It is a solid project. And I think that it should definitely be on a 100 top 100 no weak songs project, and that's it for me. I'm not going to keep everybody up. Malcolm, your thoughts on what's missing from the XXL's 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs?
To begin, I believe, gotta reiterate, great. It's a great list. Not gonna say it wasn't a great list, but there was some adjustments and things that I think should have been added. Beginning going back with Tupac. Tupac edition would have been great. And I believe Me Against the World should have been mentioned on top 50. If that was even, if it was restructured, the list, I think that at least that album for him should be on there. Tupac, the Me Against the World album. EPMD, either Unfinished Business or Strictly Business, should have been on this top 50 list. Enigma by Keith Murray, no skip album, should have definitely been on this list. I've already mentioned Nas is on here, but Stillmatic, I wanted to re-mention. I think that album should have replaced. It could have been Vince Staples, it could have been Lupe's album. Either one doesn't matter to me, but definitely feel as though Stillmatic should be on there. That would make it 2 for Nas. In all, you got to put. I think we also missed out on Nicki Minaj. How was she not on this list? And she's going down as one of the biggest, the best, one of the best, if not the best, women MCs, women rappers of all time. And Beam Me Up Scotty, in my opinion, should have been on there, replacing Lauryn Hill's album. So there's no confusion on if it's a rap album or not. I also feel like it should have been Forest Hills Drive, and it should have been Cold World, the Sideline Story. Definitely should have been on that album. The album 50 list. But he was already mentioned, so I don't know how much that adds to this segment. Other than that, we have our Jay-Z edition. I went with that album. I agree with Reasonable Doubt because that's my favorite album. Other than the black tape. What is it? The
Black Album.
The Black Album. Yeah. That is the other competing album that people say that it's one of his best works ever. Other than that, it will just be me stretching. I could put No One Can Do It Better, or possibly I think the Mr. Smith album wasn't that bad from LL Cool J. When you talk about skips, but I'm pretty much done with my additions for what should be added on this list.
All right, that's what's up. Appreciate that, Malcolm. Kev, we're gonna let you anchor this one.
Malcolm made a point earlier that it was 2 women on the whole list, Lauren and Lil Kim, and we are missing more women.
MC Light,
Yeah,
like Queen Latifah.
but my vote for the woman that's missing is Jean Grey. I think the Genius album that she did with Knife Wonder definitely could have been on this list, or even the Attack of the Attacking Things. Any one of those two I'd have been fine with. To kind of, I guess, to keep with the theme of some underground love, I think Tanya Morgan's even Moonlighting or Brooklyn Oddie could have been on here. Little Brother, if you take the one that made the Lord watch, if you take that off and replace it with the Minstrel Show, I think it would have been a better pick. Yeah, of course, the Black Album, Jay-Z, any of LL's probably first 4 albums, which was just great. You know, it had a little bit of everything. You had the radio stuff, the stuff for the girls. I mean, even stuff that, you know, dudes ain't mind listening to or admitting to. You know what I mean? Like Mama Said Knock You Out was everybody loved that song. Common's Finding Forever. I mean, I think B should stay on this list, but I think Finding Forever should have got some recognition too. He stole my EPMD answer. I was gonna say either one of their first two. K Solo's first album. It doesn't get talked about a lot. It is a very rappy album. It could go over a lot of people's heads though, but I mean, just skill. Like that K Solo first album, man, he was just very skillful, man. And you know, I don't know what happened with his career, man. I just really don't know. I mean, you know, he did some interviews, but he's not really down on the rap business or, you know, music per se, but something happened, man, because he could have been, you know, one of those guys. In my last choice, I'm going to pick Scarface, Last of a Dying Breed. It's just something about that album that, you know, front to back, I play it from start to beginning, man. I don't skip nothing. Even the songs, I'm not gonna lie, it's a few songs on there I don't like, but they fit the tone of the whole album. So, you know, I'm fine not skipping those songs. Yeah, it is kind of odd. You know, Lil Wayne is not even on this list. Lil Wayne's a huge star now. You know, to say Lil Wayne doesn't have a skippable album almost seems kind of odd. Yes, and I do agree. Maybe Nicki or hell, even Cardi should have been on this list. I mean, you know, neither one of them don't get my vote, but to see both of them excluded is somewhat shocking. But you know, with any list, you know, you're gonna always have, you know, debates about who should have and who shouldn't have and what was right and what was wrong. But, you know, like I said before, man, I think this list is a better representation of, you know, just a list of what a list should look like, because it looks like there were real fans who had input on creating these 50 albums.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I really appreciate you fellas on this one, man. This was a great discussion. I definitely agree with you, and I think what the sentiment is definitely this was a decent list compared to Rolling Stone's 200 top hip hop albums. So we're gonna leave it with that, and that was our discussion on XXL's 50 hip hop albums with no weak songs. All right, people. So we really appreciate y'all checking us out tonight. Definitely. I'm going to give the topic for our live show for August, and we're going to give our date for the live show on next week. So the topic for our live show is going to be top 20 MCs of all time. Top 20 MCs of all time, not rappers. We're talking about masters of ceremony. We're talking about people who know how to rock that mic. We're talking about wordplay. We're talking about double entendres. We're talking about professionalism. We're talking about style, impact, all the things that we think matter in the person who's putting out art. So that's going to be our topic for our live show in August. And we're going to give that date out on next episode. All right. And we want to thank you guys so much for listening. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. You can follow us on Instagram at Mix Era Rap Pod, and you can follow us on Twitter at Mix Era Rap. All right, we out of here. Peace.